Yep, I got 62. Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, really?
My grandfather or my uncle.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Can't be next Tuesday. I've been meaning to make a date of it, yeah.
All right, ask everybody. I want to thank everyone for coming, especially you, Walt. Thank you for coming. We also have a special guest tonight. We have Wayne Pratt with us, and he, I hope, will say a few words and during that section of our meeting. I'm still a newbie here, compared to all the rest of you. I've been here for, even this guy, he's been here for 20 years. I'm done. I'm going with it. It's kind of a, I'm glad you're tired of me, because I'm not tired of you. So at any rate, it's 7 o'clock. Tonight's meeting is our annual meeting, which is what we do according to our bylaws. Last year's annual meeting, I'm just going to jump right to this, the practicality of it. We did not send out voter forms or anything like that because there's no elections back. Last year, because of COVID, it's been crazy. Because of COVID, last year the board and all in attendance last year, which right in last year's minutes, which I have a copy of if anybody wants to see it, is that the 9 board members were elected to a 2-year term, and all of our board members are going to continue and finish out their 2nd year, starting tonight. So that simplifies things. That's why I had a beer. I knew it wasn't going to take long. On the update the financial status fiscal year 2021 and 2022, I would like to say that we have a finance committee. And the finance committee consists of myself. Where'd he go? Oh, there he is. And Dennis Ryan. Now, Dennis Ryan is what I would say the whole committee. I'm basically, I talk to him like once a month before a board meeting, see how we're doing, and we're doing fine. And I'd like to ask Dennis to give us a report, what other financial information that you have.
I just have it for the last month.
That's good. That's good. So while you're passing that out, could I remind everyone that we have a bookkeeper that works for us all year long that does our bank recs every month, prepares our P&L and our balance sheet every month, so we know where we stand and that we're totally responsible and accurate. And the same work goes to our CPA firm that is on pro bono status with us so far, and they happen to be my CPA firm too. So that and they file our income tax returns every year, which is a one-card return. So I just wanted to give that status while any of the financial stuff is handed out. All right, Dennis, go ahead.
This is just for the past month since our last meeting. We do this every month. We break it down every month. And Steve also has a thing that goes by year, which we didn't receive yet.
Yeah, our bookkeeper that I'm bragging about is on vacation. And she forgot to tell me.
But
It's okay.
when Steve puts the accountant's version, okay, that shows everything about the association, where we stand and everything. This is, I don't know, I'm gonna say it's a little bookkeeping.
Well, that's a bookkeeping report.
Just goes from month to month, so we know where we are month to month. So if you can share it, I'm sorry, I did not bring it up. But anyway, what we typically do is we'll go over, if you have them, or if you can see a version of it. I break it down by deposits. We have regular checking account deposits, and now we're into PayPal, and now this year Venmo. And actually, Venmo worked out very well this year. Yes. Oh, I'll try. I'm the same way. This year we added Venmo, and it worked out very well. It's actually easier. It's easier for me to keep track of things, and the only thing is we could charge a little small percentage, but for the amount of people who have been able to use it, I think it's made it worthwhile. But a small percentage is worth it. So we now have to keep track of that as well. So what I do is I try and break it down so that we can see where the money came from, where it's going to, and we kind of keep track of one of the important things that we have. This association has always had an income for an operating fund, and they always had a water quality fund. So you could say, we always kept them separate. But with the change to the 501c3, we had to combine them. So what I do is I make sure that we keep them separate here. So we always know how much of your money that you contributed goes into water quality, and that's what it's used for. It just doesn't show up on the main books, but we know what it is. So this year, within the last month, we have picked up a total income of $9,427, and part of that's unusually high for a month. But part of that is because we're starting to see the income from events. People, when you have like History Night, $780, they add up. The cornhole and darts event that they just ended last night. And if you're interested in that next year, that was actually a lot of fun. We had it here, I think 6 Monday nights, and I think we probably had 30, 40 people. June Farms donates a lot. If you went to the June Farms event, we got almost all of the income from that. Matt was very generous. We got the income from the gate. So that total on the events alone, we brought in $3,000. So our income was about $9,000. This year, this month, our expenses were fairly low because we paid. Our biggest expenses are usually insurances and sewer, the sewer tax. Those are big ones for us. And even though it's a 501c3, we still have to pay that sewer. But we didn't have them this week, so we had just an average. We only had $1,200 in expenses. So our current balance in the operating fund that we have is about $19,600, which is good for this time of year because that's what carries us through till next year. We only have a couple more events left. Actually, only one more big one. Now we also have the legal contingencies fund, which a lot of you contributed to last year, or it was a year and a half ago. We had the big meeting outside. We're asking that people contribute to that, keep contributing. It doesn't have to be the massive amounts we got before, but we do still have a debt of about $5,000 that we still owe on legal fees. But it was well worth it. That's about it. Our membership this year, we're up to 117 members. We've got 99 donors to water quality. That's a little bit low. We're about 25 people short on that. And that's why we had sent out a notification last week that if you forgot, You know, like, a lot of people forget, but a lot of people don't pay until they come to an event, then they'll pay. So, and a lot of those people came through. There were a lot of people that just realized, hey, I did pay. And in the legal fund, we still have $2,000 in the legal funds. That's the one that we're gonna try and build up again, so we can get that debt paid off. Other than that, we're in pretty good shape. We'd like to get that water quality fund up again because we don't know what's gonna happen next year. And we'll go into that a little bit, Steve will go into that a little bit later. Any questions?
Can I just add?
Yes.
All right, so that's the detail of our monthly activity, thanks to Dennis. He goes to the post office, he deposits checks, he writes checks, he pays bills. So I'm just taking this TV commercial here to thank him for being and then I would like to add, which my wife's back there already telling me, don't talk. But as far as the financial picture is concerned, that is what my background's in. I'm a financial accountant and so on. And I own my own business, small business, for a long, long time. But the Burton Lake Conservation Association, I'm real proud of it. I love all the members. It's got such a great spirited group, generous people. All for the lake is our motto all the time, right? Always for the lake. And I'd like to just give you what I see as the operations. So every month we have a balance sheet, which we can report to you. And this little association's worth about close to $150,000 in the actual net equity position, which is pretty strong, you know. We only have this clubhouse on the books for $17,000. We don't have the new parcel that we just received, the 3 acres over in the middle of that subdivision. We haven't booked that for a value of any kind. We all can sit here and go, well, that's nice to. Well, the only thing we're ever going to get out of it, is, as of right now, is that there won't be a boat launch in the middle of things over there, because we've chosen, this board has chosen not to have one, and it is insured. Property is insured with Janus Ty, along with insurance on this building. So fundamentally, I want everyone to always know this board has covered all of us to make sure that we're safe. Now, from an operations standpoint, Wendy Will is our event coordinator, and without her, it's amazing. But the events are listed on that calendar that she sends out, and it's really a big, beautiful social schedule. But with COVID, it's been a monster challenge. It's been ridiculous, but everyone still has come through. Amazing. But our events generally net our association after paying some of the clubhouse bills, which we reduced because when we went 501c3, I'm somewhat blowing our own horn here. We no longer pay land and school taxes, so we save $4 or $5 grand a year. Okay. So now we have $10,000 net there, and then we collect. So that's basically the whole P&L, except for the collection of dues and the collection of water quality money. And together those net to about $30,000. So this association's operations nets 40 grand a year. We pay for an echo harvester that's worth 80 grand. It's probably worth more than that because the new ones are almost up about 60% in value. So I don't want to get into that, but the whole idea is that I just wanted to share with you how I look at what our operations is as far as money that we make, even in COVID. People are still paying for their membership. They're still writing water quality, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely. I mean, I think everyone in this room, and I am real proud to know all the people on this lake. So that I just wanted to give a summary of what and how I see what we do here. So 40 grand a year, and what we do typically, or have done for the last, so with Steve Scarlato's water quality committee with Craig and Rich, and Wendy, you're on that too, probably, aren't you, water quality? No? Okay. You are though, right? And the president's supposed to be on that too. Someday we'll have a new president. So what the water quality typically has spent the last 3 or 4 years is $20 grand a year. And the water quality group found Facilicor, which is a new spot treatment that worked out fabulous. We have very little milfoil. We have some, but not a lot. And then my wife's saying you're talking too much. So with that, I'm going to move on to the agenda. Okay, the update, because we're still going to get back to water quality and ask Steve Scarlato to give his report. The update on Lake Association business with Totem Lodge subdivision. Now the bad news is that Larry McKeough isn't here to report on that. He went on vacation. The other bad news is I'm going to report on it. And it's really been an experience. A lot of discoveries, proved through our title work and abstract legal company that we hired, that we paid $875. How about that?
Yeah.
And we ended up with a $300,000 lot, maybe, right? I mean, so pretty much good discovery, you know what I mean? Right now and I've asked Walt Vanderloo to report or jump in any time, but right now we're still asking the subdivider to finish off some of the drainage shortfalls in the SWIP, which is a drainage permit that they have for the subdivision. And fundamentally, the Lake Association is still involved in doing that with our attorney, with Walt at planning board meetings and everything. And we're fundamentally helping the new subdivision and the new owners of the subdivision. Because if the subdivider leaves town, then the new HOA is going to have to fix what they don't do. So we're trying to, Walt, can you add to this or?
Sure. So, I mean, just very, very briefly, that, you know, essentially, I think our goal is to make sure that, and we've got a couple of the lot owners here tonight, and we should welcome them.
Oh, that's great.
We're you know, we want to see those lots successfully developed. That involves getting the road work and the drainage for the road completed as it was designed. There are a couple of issues with that hopefully the town and DEC are working on. And in terms of the lots, basically, I think everyone has an interest in making sure that the lots drain and that the, you know, when there's a rainfall event, that there isn't a situation where there's damage. I made the comment here a little earlier. It's an unfortunate situation if there's a house built and the drainage isn't adequate and the foundation is undermined. So, you know, I think we all have an interest in seeing the property successfully developed in consideration of the lake. And, you know, we're working on that, and hopefully all that will be successful, and the folks that are there will be able to enjoy the lake as we do. So,
Oh, thanks.
and I'll stop there.
Oh, very nice. So I didn't recognize any of the new lot owners. Could you raise your hand wherever you are? Oh, very nice. Very nice. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
But what we really have is a nice group, and we really want to welcome you and have you know that. And anything that has been said bad about.
We've heard nothing.
And I'm glad you're laughing. You have a sense of humor. That's real nice to meet you. So that is the Totem Lodge subdivision, right up to Kerner. Right now, Walt's our man on the front line. He's assisted with Mike Galalato. Mike is a great neighbor. He's only been here for 20 years, so you're not a newbie. And he lives over in the middle of the lake,
Adjacent to the subdivision.
adjacent to the subdivision, right, right.
My property abuts the subdivision.
So Mike runs and owns his own architectural firm in Manhattan.
Yes.
In Manhattan. That's pretty solid. But when I read his resume, which I thought was real solid, okay? We're talking to a corner grocer here. He was the chairman of a planning board in the town that he was in. So Mike might know everything. If our planning board were ever to need a little help with anything, just friendly comment there, nothing, I'm looking at you, Judy, but I don't mean, but at any rate, we welcome Mike, obviously, and we're really trying to get this behind us. We were thinking that we did a successful year. It took a year. My wife listened to the phone calls, but we didn't get in a lawsuit, which was a big battle, big effort not to. Stayed out of trouble. We did spend the money, but I don't think we would have gotten heard or anything said to us at all if we didn't have legal representation, which one of our favorite, Terry Nord, and I didn't see Terry come in tonight. Terry Nord was the lady that pushed this board to have a emergency meeting, to have a vote to hire an attorney. And we did exactly that. And this board works as a board. There hasn't been any, there's no I's, I didn't do anything. We is mostly everything. We do have individuals that come up with ideas, but we always get a board review and approval to go forward. And it's a safe way to be neighbors. And that's our goal. But welcome, it's really nice that you're still smiling. That's really and congratulations, by the way. That's really, it's a beautiful lake. Beautiful lake. Okay, any questions on the Totem Lodge subdivision? Because it could be, you go on, my wife's shaking her head. Okay, so review with lake quality report. So Steve Scarlatta is the chair of our lake quality committee, water quality committee.
Quality, yeah. Well, there's a couple of facets to that, which we've kind of a program that have been going on now for about 3 or 4 years. One facet is we have the harvester, and I think is this our 3rd or 4th year with the harvester?
Third and a half,
3rd and a half.
because we got about 1.5 years of payments still.
Yeah.
So we owe about 12,000 on it, and it's worth 130,000.
So we've been having a harvesting program every summer. We have 5 teams of operators. They're insured and trained to run the harvester. And they each team has a section of the lake that they look over. Now this year, because of the other part of our program, which is herbicide treatments, which we've been doing now 3 years in a row, the weed population this year is low compared to previous years. So we're not using the harvester up till today, not very much this year. Maybe half a dozen times, that's about it. But the season's not over yet. The other part is the herbicide treatments. We've had 3 consecutive years with herbicide treatments. This year, it was each year we did it with under permit with Burden Aquatics as the applicator, and this year they treated with Aquathol for curly leaf pondweed. And these are spot treatments. They don't treat the whole lake. We pick the bad areas and contract with Burden Aquatics to treat those areas. And this year we treated for the curly pondweed. It was the north end by the second dike and the east cove as you go around past the boys' camp to the east side. and the south end, the very south end of the lake, and some of the western shore. And that treatment was,
What we try to do is we try to rotate with these treatments, so no place gets it 2 years in a row. It gets it on a circulating basis, so by the time something happens in one section, say 2 years, 3 years later, we're back to that section by that time.
that's right, you know, so we've done, before this year, we did 2 years of for Celicour, for milfoil, on two separate areas of the lake, rather not areas, but the areas for each of the 2 years were different, so it pretty much attacked the milfoil that we had. And so we feel like it's gonna be an ongoing program every year, and we're not really sure yet about next year. It'll be, we do a survey, and we'll probably talk about it in the fall, and decide whether or not we need to think about applying for a permit. These are all done by permit with NCON, as well as the harvester. There's a permit with NCON for the harvester. So,
Permits are usually applied for in the winter,
right, and we
so you don't have to, once you know what the survey has to say in the fall, when you look around and see what's been and what hasn't been, then you work out a program, then about what, December?
About, well, into January.
In January,
is when he puts in
that's
the
when you
permit.
apply for the permits, you know what you're gonna need to do, you apply for the permits, and then schedule the treatments, because the treatments can only be done at a certain time. You know, they like to get them before they,
Well, yeah,
they,
right.
you know, drop your seeds or whatever. So if you're gonna treat it, you need to get it within a certain window, which Vertiflex right now is what we're using. It may be, we will use them forever, it may not, who knows?
Yeah.
But, they determine when that's the best time to do that.
So he does this year he did a survey in May. He recognized that we would probably have a problem with the curly pond lake, because it's migrated from the second lake, from the first lake, and been progressively getting worse in the third lake. So he recognized that it was gonna be very probable that we have to treat it. He did the survey, I think, in April or May, and as it panned out, yes, we had to do it. And I think we paid him about $17,000 this year for that treatment. It's worked out to be about that much each season. So the other facet is the CSLAP program, which Dennis offered safety. Dennis has pretty much run that program.
The C-SLAP is, for as long as I've been here, and for years, we've been a member of the NYSOLA, which is New York State Federation of Lake Associations, that's what it stands for. And what, part of it is a thing called CSLAP, which is the Citizens, I can never remember exactly. We call it CSLAP, but anyway. So what we benefit from this, I mean, it costs us, every year, but what we benefit from it is having a running history of what's happening with the lake, with the water, and each year, it's a state-operated program, it's run by DEC. But, so what we do is we have 4 people who are recognized volunteers, 4 or 5. See, Craig, Chelsea, myself, Mike. You have to be certified in New York State, as a certified volunteer. So what we do is, every 2 weeks, we do it 8 times a year. Every 2 weeks, we used to do it on Sunday, but now we moved it to Monday. We'll go out on Monday morning, and we will test. There's certain protocols that we have to test. We have to test for vision. We have to take 8 or 9 samples, and then we process. We don't process the samples. We package them up and we ship them. to Syracuse, as the state does it. And those samples then are provided to us in, I'll leave this, or I can pass it around. This is one from several years ago, but everybody says, well, what are we getting out of it? You don't really understand unless you kind of look at these, if you have an interest, and some people don't. You know, some people, this is just, but there is a lot of valuable information in it if you take the time to look at it. Like, one of the things I learned from this past one, we don't get the reports until late, but this Burden Lake, the third Burden Lake, is low in calcium. Our calcium is low. But that turns out to be a benefit in that it's not a conducive environment for the,
Zebra mussels. Zebra mussels.
thank you. The zebra mussels.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. So, and then the other thing that we've noticed, really, and you can see it on the graphs, but we've been doing this now for about 4 or 5 years. Myself, and Craig and I have been doing it mostly this year, but we've noticed that the clarity in this lake has gone from like maybe 12 feet. And last year in September, we were reading a disc at 20 feet. We could see the disc at 20 feet. And they make you drop it and then pick it back up again, make sure you're, and that's 20 feet of clarity. It's kind of scary. Maybe that's why the fishing's so terrible, because they can see it. But anyway, so then, we fill out a form and we send it in, and it's all paid, we pay, I don't know, it might be $600 a year for the service. But it's a valuable service. Now, these reports, if you're ever looking for them, are on the web. They may not be updated because we don't get the reports for a year. We don't get them until, I got last year's report, I got it 3 weeks ago. So that's, so if you see us, you hear these terms, and so that's what the CSLAC was all about. And it's been a worthwhile, and there's a lot of lakes that are itching to get on it, but it's a limited program from the state, so that's why we keep it up every year so we don't lose our spot.
And we're one of the oldest members on there.
Yeah, we are. Yep. So,
Any questions on that?
yes.
Hi, I've been on the lake for over 40 years, and I've never seen it so low. Is that just because of rain or what? I mean, isn't there something wrong with the dam?
We're below that point. In other words, the lake, if you go and take a walk out to the Winding Skill Creek right now, there's no water coming out. And that's what is one of the sources of water for this lake.
So it's just rain?
Just rainwater.
This
the
year,
lack of.
this year it's raining.
The lake doesn't feel like everybody thinks it does. The Winding Skill doesn't really provide the water for the lake. It's like a valve. It keeps the water from going out of the lake, but it doesn't really fill the lake with water like everybody thinks. It's not the way it works. The hydrology of it is a little different than everybody assumes. Where this lake gets its water is from underground springs and runoff. And we haven't had any runoff. So consequently, the underground springs aren't filled. It's just, it's a fact of nature. We don't have any water.
But isn't there something wrong with the dam at First Lake?
Nope. It's working the way it's supposed to be. It's set at the exact height it's supposed to be.
We repaired it last
We repaired it, right.
year. You're talking about the spillway, where the Winding Skill comes down and spills.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
been,
it was washed out in that big rainstorm last
right,
year.
and we repaired it. It's not working the way it's supposed to. It's just that there's no water to work the way. The only way the water comes into the lake from the Winding Skill is when there's an overabundance of water in the Winding Skill. And then it washes in. Okay, but it doesn't fill the lake like everybody thinks it goes. That's not the way the thing was designed to work. It's working properly. It's working exactly the way it's supposed to. We just don't have any water.
Well, I've noticed that the golf course is still watering, so they must get a lot of water out of the lake.
And that's an issue. That will have to be addressed by the associate, president and so forth. We're working on that, and there's issues there that we're trying to handle. Whether it's taking enough water out to lower the lake, I don't know. I don't know how to do the calculations, but, it is being addressed, let's put it that way. And, you know, it's a touchy situation that we're trying to work around.